Oh yeah, take your right hand and place it over your left chest. I did not say the pledge, I just said place your hand over your left chest. What do you notice? Is that there's something beating against your hand. Abi? Of course, if your own is not beating, then that means you're probably watching this video from the other side, which is fine, so long as you do not interfere in our affairs. Now, that thing that is beating is called your heart. One of the most important organs in your body. What does it do? Whenever you take a deep breath, you collect fresh oxygen, Abi. That fresh oxygen has to go somewhere or it's useless to your body. So your heart starts plasma work by collecting the blood and sending it to all the organs, your head, your eyes, everywhere. So long as there's organ and there's cell there, it sends it there. The problem is, as it's sending it there, it's also collecting waste products from these particular organs and sending it where they need to go. So plasma work, sending it, loma work, collecting waste. You can send it to your kidneys, send it to your liver, send it even the one to your lungs that you now breathe out. Now, it does this in a circle about 60 to 100 times a minute without breaks, without it not writing letter to HR. Hey, I'm tired of working today, or I don't feel like working, and so I'm going to take a break. If that happens, my dear, you might join them on the other side. When you get there, please greet them for us. So you need to appreciate your heart more. It continues working, sending blood. As a matter of fact, it's like the engine of a car. Without the engine, no car. Without your heart, no you. Now, the problem is there is one particular disease that affects the heart very commonly, especially in this part of the world. If I mention this disease now, you can mention about 2 or 3 people in your life that currently have it, and it's called hypertension. It's very silent. What is hypertension? Now, you know I said that it's doing last man work, Abi? Yes, directing the blood where they need to go. If the road is narrow, what happens? You have go slow, Abi? Now, some vessels in your body, sometimes are supposed to be this big so that the blood will flow freely. But if it is now small, the pressure to pass through that place becomes harder. If this happens around all the vessels in your body or most vessels in your body, you have what is called high blood pressure. If this hypertension continues uncontrolled for a very long time, there are 3 major organs that will be affected. Number 1 is the brain, stroke. Number 2 is the kidneys, kidney failure. Number 3, which is the person that is actually doing all the work, is the heart. Remember I said that the pressure is now much for it to force blood through. But the heart does not stop. The heart will continue trying to pump against that pressure. The more it continues pumping against the pressure, the bigger it gets in size. But you see, the bigger it gets in size does not mean that it's pumping better. So it continues pumping, gets bigger. After a while, they have to give up and say, you know what? I signed in my resignation letter. I'm tired of doing this work. It's not working for anybody, and decides to pack up. That's what you call cardiac failure. So how do you know you have hypertension? My dear, you need to go to a place where they would wrap a blood pressure monitor around your arm and check. If your values are over 140 over 90 on more than 2 different occasions, my dear, it's possible you have hypertension. Or if these values are very high, you know, sometimes 180, 200, even on one occasion, my dear, we can confidently say you have hypertension, and that needs to be managed as quickly as possible or it will spoil things. Now, what are the things that make you at risk of hypertension? Now, there are 2 groups. Number 1 is the group that you cannot change. For example, your family history. If anybody in your family, probably your uncle, your father, your mother's sister's brother that is living in America, or has hypertension, there are chances that you might have it too. Number 2 is that your race even places you at risk. If you're black, there is higher risk of you having hypertension. If you're older than 65, there is higher risk of you getting hypertension. Now, there are things that you are doing that is probably placing you at risk of hypertension. You're eating too much salt, all of you. Salt inside egg, you put salt. Salt inside white rice, you put salt. Salt inside egg, you're adding salt. You still put salt inside the stew. You're just adding the salt up and down. My dear, you're making yourself at risk of hypertension. Why? Because this salt attracts water to itself. Water increases the volume of blood in your body, increases the work that your heart has to do, and then hypertension. Number 2, you're not exercising enough. My dear, when you exercise, there's something beautiful that happens. It widens the blood vessel. In other words, that road that used to have go slow before has now become wider, so blood will find it easier to pass through, reducing the work on the heart. Number 3 is when you're overweight. Now, let's explain it this way. Just imagine you bought small Toyota Corolla, beautiful car, first car, you're enjoying it. It's surviving mechanics, entering gallop and all that. It's beautiful. And one day you now decided, there's this trailer that's spoiled. I can't help. You now tow trailer. First of all, the thing that will happen is that your engine is going to knock. Why? Because you're giving the engine more work than it's used to. Over time, your heart has to pump through more organs, through more weights, through more, adipose tissue. It becomes a lot of work for it. It becomes a problem, hypertension. Another thing that can happen that will place you at risk of high blood pressure or hypertension is when you smoke, whether it's shisha or whether it's cigarette or as long as you smoke. One thing that smoke does is that smoke narrows blood vessel. What did I say about narrowing? To cause go slow, increase the pressure that the heart has to work against, and then that person now has hypertension. So my dear, these are just some factors that can increase your risk of having hypertension. So how do you now prevent this hypertension? Number one, exercise, as we said before. One thing that exercise does is that reduces the pressure by expanding your blood vessels so that blood can pass through freely. Number two, smoking. If you're smoking, my dear, stop. I did not say reduce it. I said stop, because the earlier you stop, the better. Number three, if you're overweight, make it a goal, cut it down, reduce the amount of work that your heart pumps through, and it just becomes easier. And then number four, your diet is very important. My dear, reduce the amount of salt that you're taking in. The actual amount of salt you need every day is like 1 teaspoon of salt. That's about 6 grams. So all of you that are eating very salty foods, my dear, cut it down. Another thing that is in your diet that you need to take care of is foods that are high in saturated fats. Why? Because these foods may actually go to your blood vessels and just pack along the road. When they pack along the road and do double packing, what happens? There's go slow. So, my dear, please cut down on saturated fats so that your heart can be free, exercise, and all that, and reduce it, and check your blood pressure continually. Some of you are saying, blood pressure is a disease for old people. My dear, even me that you're watching right now, at some point, my blood pressure was very high. And what did I do? I did all these things that I'm telling you to bring it to a controllable level, and I've been enjoying my soft life ever since. So what do you do when you notice that your blood pressure is high, or you're hypertensive? My dear, simple. You talk to your doctor, and then you also do those lifestyle changes, reduce your stress and all that. And remember, today is the World Hypertension Day, a day that was set aside to raise awareness about hypertension because it has been killing a lot of people, especially in this part of the world. But that does not mean that after today you will not check your blood pressure. Make it a habit and control it.